I drink your milkshake.
You are listening to the Billionaire Podcast Network.
What a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. What a blessedness, what a peace is mine, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how sweet to walk in this pilgrim way, leaning on the everlasting arms. Oh, how bright the path grows from day to day, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms. What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms. I have blessed peace with my Lord so near, leaning on the everlasting arms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, safe and secure from all alarms. Leaning on Jesus, leaning on Jesus, leaning on the everlasting arms.
Welcome, ye weary souls, those born of sin, as we all are. My flock, please be seated. The congregation, please take your seats. Welcome everybody to the Blessed Billionaire Boys Backyard Bible Bonanza, or Sextuple B as we call it. Yeah, that's the official. If everybody wants to hit them with the sixes, hit them with the double threes.
Which now I'm thinking about it, the sixes isn't the best for the Bible. We need to maybe add a seventh for the septuple.
No, it's two threes, so it's the two like a trinity squared.
I like
trinity
that.
times two.
Okay.
So
we don't need 3 6s because that's not good.
We got 2 trinities. Hit them with the trinities, everybody.
Hey,
hey, skirt.
That was great. That's great.
Yeah. Only on the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 dee, fill her up. It's me, one of your shepherds, your co-shepherd, Pastor Dalton. And I'm joined by my fellow reverend, a fellow man of the cloth, Pastor Jamie.
Blessings.
Blessings be upon all of you. Praise be.
Yeah.
How are you on this most blessed evening?
I'm
Pastor
good, man.
Jamie?
I'm good. I'm actually being looked over right now by Saint Homo Bonus.
Yeah, we were just trying to figure out how to pronounce this.
It's got to be homogenous, but it literally is spelled homo bonus.
Because what you're showing me, that looks like an M, not an H.
I know, but it's just the font they're using, because if you look at the card it comes with, right here, you can see in the Times New Roman it is a clear H.
Most holy Saint Homo Bonus. I don't know if that's Times New Roman. That looks a little bit like papyrus.
Maybe it is a little papyrus. I don't know my font
looks like
very well, but it's definitely. But the strange font does make it look like an M, but it is definitely an H. It is homogenous. I assume it's pronounced homogenous and not Saint Homo Bonus. But my roommate grew up Catholic, and his parents are still very Catholic, and his mom actually sent me 2 saints to look over me, which is very anti-Baptist, obviously.
Sure.
Or at least growing up Protestant, it's a little bit frowned upon to have these sort of figurines or idols. But they do it a little different in the Catholic Church. And I'm also visited by Saint Anne. So I've got these two
Oh, with the
looking over me.
pretzels?
I think that's Annie Ann's.
Oh, okay.
Or wait, is there a? Oh no, it didn't. Wait, there. Maybe it's a cookie.
No, it's
Is
it's Auntie Anne's.
It is Auntie Anne. So I got Saint Homobonus and Saint Anne, and they're interesting because the Catholics have so many saints. I don't know much about the Catholic Bible or the stuff, but I just recently picked up myself an apocrypha today, just to do
Nice.
a little side reading.
Yeah, we get into the sort of the origins of that today with Genesis 4 actually, but
do we?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, one of these kids, one of these begotten, is I think like one of the big books of the because we'll get into it because I did notice something.
I didn't know that.
It might be in this chapter. I read ahead a little bit. There is like this very like it's in chapter 5. There's like some really vague verse that I'm like, oh, that's definitely referencing something that's not in the Bible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what was I saying? Auntie Anne's, Papyrus, I mean
Eucalyptus.
Yeah, I mean a lot of people don't know this about me, but I do have mild font autism. I like a good font.
So you know your fonts. You
really
do.
A little bit. Like I know, I'm particular about it when I go into Microsoft Word and I start typing. I always hated Times New Roman. I always found that to be just an aggravating, unpleasant font. I hate Arial, the like default font.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big fan of sans serif. I usually, if I'm writing, if I'm typing, I like Garamond.
I'm not only familiar with Garamond.
Garamond's just a good, classy, pretty simple. I like it simple and easy on the eyes,
Sure.
And Times New Roman is certainly it's a simple font, but I always thought it was a pain to look at.
Well, how do you feel about? Let me ask you your opinion. What's your opinion on Old English?
I hate it.
Yeah,
it just reminds me of all my
much.
Like Latino cousins that got like their last name tattooed on their back. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's Gonzalez.
Yeah, like my aunt who married a Mexican dude, and then all of their kids just got like just big gaudy Old English tattoos, and then maybe like a Lady Guadalupe underneath it.
Why don't you get Pruitt an Old English tattoo?
I would do that. I am trash. I would do that.
That's awesome.
Get like Comic Sans.
Yeah, yeah, just some ridiculous. Oh man, that's hilarious.
But we were talking. We weren't. I just wanted to point out my appreciation for fonts real quick.
Sure.
I'm not a font master. I read an article recently that like went through the history and origins of different like popular fonts. It was really interesting. I can't really remember most of what I read. But there are like guys throughout history who like really worked on those fonts.
Yeah, that's got to be an interesting line of work to get into. Yeah. Like, I like it this way, especially for when it's like, I mean, to make it so iconic to where it becomes like it's going to make Microsoft Word. Like, it's like, wow, like who came up with that font? That's an interesting font.
Yeah,
like, were these people's natural handwriting?
No, well, I don't know. They were just like typographers or something. Like prior to any sort of word processor, these were guys who just would like work on it for like typewriters and maybe printing presses and whatever was available. And it's interesting to see like where that line of work starts to run like perpendicular with the advent of word processors and computers, because then like Microsoft and all these different companies are like looking for guys like that to make fonts for these programs, whereas like before it was, they were, it was like a regal, I don't know, it's an interesting career path, I guess.
Yeah, that is. That's very interesting. So it's very niche.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone doing it now.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
I would assume AI is probably just taking that by storm.
Although, I mean, you know what it's like though when you crack open a book and it's got like a good font, and you're like, dude, I'm gonna read this in like a day. This is such a good looking font.
Yes.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of like Cormac McCarthy books have good fonts.
Yeah, you know what I'm coming to realize, and this might seem a little childish. I like all caps.
Yeah, like a comic book.
Yeah, I really do. I really come to appreciate just reading in all caps.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
that's how they print comic books.
I guess
like,
I'm a child at heart.
yeah, that's like literally most comic books I've read, unless it's like a stylistic choice to do lowercase. All the like printing, like the dialogue and everything, is all caps.
You'll have
So
to forgive me if I excuse myself to sneeze. My allergies have been
bless you.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, my allergies have been killing me lately. So I don't know what's going on.
You're aging, dude. That's an age thing.
I'm not Asian. Oh, aging. Yes.
It's also an Asian thing, I guess.
It's sneezing.
They're allergic to. I think they're allergic to like alcohol
Cats.
or something. Cat. Yeah.
No, they're not allergic to cat. They eat them. So
Oh, come
they can't
on,
be
man.
allergic.
Come on now.
I would try cat.
I heard they're allergic to alcohol. I heard the Asians have like are more sensitive to alcohol than we are, so that's why like a lot of Asian liquor is like weaker than our liquor, because they get drunk way faster. So
well, they're not allergic to cigarettes, that's for sure. Those guys.
No, that's like a sensu bean for them. It gives them like extra energy and restores their health.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Did you see that? Did you see that news story that Chinese dude who ran like a marathon and was just chain smoking the entire time?
Holy crap!
Yeah, he's done like 3 times, just like chain smoking during a marathon.
Dude, during the marathon, that's even crazier.
Like running.
I dated a girl who ran a full marathon, and the night before we went out drinking, and she was smoking cigarette after cigarette. And I was like, "You're really gonna run a marathon tomorrow?" She ran the entire thing.
Those are my favorite kind of people. Are the people who, in spite of like everything science has ever said, are living in a way that is like just a complete contradiction. Where like they're fitness freaks in really good shape and run all the time. And then they'll get done at the gym, and the first thing they do is have a cigarette.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. And I've done that, but I'm not in shape. Like,
yeah, same. I've done it too, where I'm like still this like skinny, scrawny, out of shape person, but then I'm like smoking and still trying to work out. I'm currently on day
I'll get
11.
done with like a 20-minute mile and then be like, time for a fuck. Father, forgive me for my transgressions. Amen. But I'll get done with like a 20-minute mile and be like, hey, time for a Camel Unfiltered, you know?
A 20-minute mile.
Yeah, just a casual stroll, pretty much.
Yeah, more of a power walk.
Yeah.
I'm on day 11, no cigarettes. And
nice.
And you know how I used to smoke. I mean, we hung out a lot together and living up in New York, and I mean, I'm a chain smoking rascal. And it's been tough. Every day I'm like, oh, okay, it's getting easier. And then like somewhere midway through the day, I'm like, I think I'm caving today, but we're still going strong, but eating a ton, dude. I'm like, my appetite is insatiable. It's insatiable.
Have you considered Zen?
No.
I got Zens.
I'm trying to not do any of that. I'm actually also like, I've been dead sober as well for the last 11 days. So the only thing I'm really allowing myself is just like sugar and caffeine. That's pretty much the only fun stuff I've been having lately. Yeah, so
I feel you.
A lot of caffeine. I've been drinking coffee like it's going out of style.
Yeah, I feel you there, dude. I've been there.
And filling my whole soul with, I'm getting high on the Lord, though. You know what I mean? Get drunk on the Spirit.
Yeah, me too. Reading Genesis, which, funnily enough, like it's interesting to read it now as an adult and having read like more books now, like having like different things to reference in my mind, like as I'm reading this. I was reading this chapter and I read ahead a little bit, and like reading this now, I'm like, This is like Lord of the Rings almost. I seriously was like, this reads like those moments in Lord of the Rings that are giving you like backstory and origin of like what happened in Middle Earth that led up to
Yeah.
what we know as the Third Age.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
story we're following happens in the Third Age.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tolkien based a lot of like the way he constructed that world and that story on the Bible and Christianity. So that is like an interesting thing, like to notice, to see those like parallels reading this.
You want to hear something crazy too? So I was up in Dallas over the weekend seeing family, and my grandparents actually invited me to church. I went to church. I haven't been to church in probably 9 years, and I went to church, and it was not only just any old church, but it was like the church I grew up in as like an infant and toddler. And man, it was a trip going back to that place. And you got to understand, this is like an old Baptist church. Everybody there is like over 70, you know. And but first I went to a Bible study that my grandpa leads, and you'll never believe what they're going through.
Is it Genesis?
Dude, it was Genesis chapter 2, and I felt like I had like a cheat sheet because I was like, oh, I got a leg up on these mofos. But boy, I did not, because there's just 70, 80-year-old wise men who have read through this thing like countless times. And man, even though we just did Genesis 2 like a few weeks ago, I still felt like I learned like a ton more. Like they were bringing up points. I was like, man, me and Dalton didn't even think about that. Like we're over. I mean, it was mind blowing, dude. I was thinking about you. I was like, this is such a trip. We're going through this right now.
That's why there's Bible scholars. There's people out there whose entire lives are devoted to just this book.
Yeah, it's dense. I mean, we're 3 chapters in, and I feel like we have way more questions than answers. So.
Yeah, it's gonna. I think that'll keep happening because as it goes on, it just gets more. It just gets crazier and crazier.
Literally crazier and crazier.
Yeah, I mean, wait till we get to chapter 6, dude. That's where it really starts to.
Yeah, Genesis is about to get real. Like it gets real fast.
But we should, let's get into it. It's a good springboard there. Jamie went to church. I went to church after I got out of the hospital for the first time. I was like, I need something. And so I started going, I was going to a church for a little bit and just sitting there in a daze, just like still crazy. And like hearing about God and being like, yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I am the Messiah. They're like, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah. That's it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, like be Christ-like. Don't try to be Christ.
Yeah.
Didn't work out too well for him,
yeah. That's the thing, is we want to be God. We don't want to be Jesus. That's the difference.
Yeah, he didn't have a good time being Jesus.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
But that we'll get into that when we get to the New Testament in like 10 years.
Yeah, we'll get there when we're 56.
I mean, we'll figure it out because like there's stretches that are just like genealogies, the begottens and all this. So I don't know what we're gonna dissect there other than like, well, this is ancestry.com.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, there's definitely and then when we get into like the laws, and coming up in Exodus and Leviticus and all that, and Deuteronomy, it's like that just becomes a really crazy just book of intense laws. So it is hard to know how we're going to handle that, but what's nice is Genesis is so rich.
We still have a year of Genesis.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going a chapter a week. We still got about a year left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think there's like 51 chapters, right? Something like that.
Yeah. But there's 50.
50?
Yeah, but chapter 4 starts off sultry.
Oh boy, does it.
And I love the language here. I love the way it's worded. And we'll start here. Chapter 4, verse 1. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So right there, Adam knew Eve. We know what they're saying there.
He knew.
Yeah, he knew her. They knew each other for a minute, maybe 2 minutes.
I know what's up. Adam knows what's up.
Yeah.
Knew is a definitely common phrasing for.
Yeah. Is this so? Is this the first time this is the first time they've copulated? They're consummating their yeah, that. We know what Adam knew. This is where it all begins, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. It is the first time they populate that we know of, but probably maybe not the first time that um they did it. I assume they'd done it already, like especially whenever he meets
You
her.
think like
And,
the very first time he's like, I swear this never happens. And she's like, this is the first time anyone's ever done this ever.
yeah. In fact, if anything, she's probably like wondering, like, maybe that's how long it lasts. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
maybe. Yeah, do you think Adam finished fast? He was just like, yo, this feels awesome.
Well, I think that's what's interesting. So I think if they had sex before the fall, if they had sex, do you think that they went at the same time because everything was perfect?
Oh, you think that so part of God's punishment was to like desynchronize orgasms?
Well, think about this. He does say that the wife's punishment is that your desire will be for your husband. So it's like, what if maybe that's the reason why they're always like never getting off? Because they're like, oh God, guys are always getting theirs.
That is true. I mean, women are more focused on making sure their man is happy than like their own happiness when it comes to relations.
Yeah, can you imagine if it was the other way around? If guys were always like, well, as long as you came, baby, it's
There are guys like that, and they're awful. They're terrible. They're like the wimpiest. They're usually some sort of like predator, like that kind of guy.
predator.
Yeah, like that kind. We like that kind of guy who goes on and on about like, I make sure that the woman is pleased or whatever. It's like, oh, he's up to something.
Well, I think it's okay if you want to make sure she goes first, because I don't know about you, but when I go, I tend to get a little sleepy. So, it might behoove one to do whatever you can to make sure she gets hers. That way, when it's time for Papa, I can go directly to bed.
Sure. I get that. I mean,
but if it's like solely she's going and he's not, that is odd. That's like some real. What are you doing this for?
Yeah, I mean, I take so long to finish anyway that it's like,
oh, dude,
I may never even get there. Yeah.
Well, good for you, Dalton.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's my fault for caving into the temptations of the flesh too many times. By myself.
You're being for real here on a desensitized aspect.
Yeah, I'm just like desensitized. So like,
oh wow, we're getting real. Okay, come on.
Yeah, so when it's time for me to know a woman,
mm-hmm.
It's I know her for sure, but I don't know myself.
You don't know. You don't. Yeah, you don't know to completion.
Always. Yeah, I don't know like it might take it might end with her knowing herself and me knowing myself, and we're just laying next to each other, knowing ourselves respectively. If you know,
there's nothing wrong with knowing each other, with knowing yourself in front of each other. That sometimes can be fun.
I've done that. It's fun.
I like to know myself in front of somebody.
And then I know all over her stomach.
Yeah, dude, I love knowing all over them. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, we're verse 1. This is all from verse 1.
She conceived and bare Cain and said, I've gotten a man from the Lord.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, and Adam was like, no, you got a man from me, babe.
Yeah,
I did this.
Yeah, she's like, all right, I guess. Yeah, I mean, but that is kind of like that's definitely like a patriarchal achievement in a way. I mean, most guys and dudes want sons, and so that's a score 1 for Adam right there. That's a happy dude right there.
This is a real son. Fail son right here. I mean, this kid's gonna be a disappointment.
I mean, no doubt. But this is a happy day. He doesn't know this yet.
Yeah. But yeah, Cain's the oldest. He's the first son. And Eve has gotten a man from the Lord. And then we go on to verse 2. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Okay, let's stop there.
There's a
Break
lot.
this down. Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot. And and I'll tell you one thing, I've heard a lot of dissecting through scholars, through psychologists who break these things down, but I still don't get how they, from these texts, how they get anything. I don't understand why God doesn't accept his offering.
I don't know. I mean, as I was reading this for the first time, or rather, for doing this show, this is not the first time I've read this. I grew up in the church.
Sure.
There might be, like, I was trying to figure there might be something metaphorical happening here, that Abel is a keeper of sheep. He works with the life, the creatures of the earth, the beasts that walk upon the land. And Cain is a tiller of the ground. His purview is dirt and earth and dust. And so there might be like a just like this overarching metaphor that we see like earlier in Genesis, where it's God is creating everything, and here's the life of the earth. From that life, what the raw materials that I've used to create everything is the dirt and dust of the earth. And after being cast out of Eden, to whence all life shall return is the dirt. So the way I'm interpreting this sort of is that Abel's offering, and what we're picking up here, is like livestock. The firstling, this calf, that's life, that's this creation. And then Cain is in the muck, rooting around the dirt, the death, the decay. And so I'm like, what I'm saying? Like the metaphor is that what Abel is offering is life, and Cain is offering from the earth is like represents, the death and decay that comes with the fall of man.
Perhaps you're right. But you also said something interesting just now that just made me think of something else. Because you said that Abel brought the firstlings of it. Will you read your text again in verse 3?
Mine says, and in process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord.
Okay.
And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof.
Yeah.
And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering.
So that's interesting. Now it specifies that Abel brought the firstlings and the fat portions, like the biggest, best portions. It doesn't say that Cain brought the first of it. It says over the course of time.
It takes a while to grow crops.
Yeah, but I'm almost wondering if it's like, if God was almost like an afterthought, like Cain was like, oh, I should maybe give him, after maybe a bunch of things have grown. It didn't say he brought the first fruit. He just says he brought the fruit of the ground. Maybe like a bunch, maybe he brought like the 100th fruit, but Abel brought the firstborn of the calf and the fat one. The first fat boy, he brought to God. Maybe that's a kind of a thing too,
I mean, you could also think of it this way. Like, let's say you were hosting like a potluck, and somebody brought a big juicy brisket that they had smoked, and then somebody else brought like uncooked radishes that they grew. You'd be
Mm.
like, you'd be pretty stoked for that brisket, and then the radishes, the guy would be like, "Hey, I grew these myself," and be like, "All right, thank you for the
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for the radishes, pal.
Mm.
Really appreciate it."
Yeah.
So it might just be that simple.
It
It's
could
like,
be, but I think you're onto something too about the life and death aspect, because like with with actual animal, there is life there. And I was thinking a lot about sacrifice earlier, because we see the sacrifice first implemented after the fall of man. God makes them lamb skins, or so he obviously has to kill something and make a fleshly loincloth for Adam and Eve for their nakedness, right? So, you know, and you think, okay, well, um, what's so important about sacrificing, right? Well, it's like you're getting rid of the thing that you hold most important to you. And it's like, okay, well, so why is uh the firstborn of a flock, why is that the highest of value rather than maybe fruit? It's like, well, because fruit is plenty, it's just going to regrow, we're going to regrow. But to have a firstborn of like a flock, I mean, that's the future of a future flock that you're now cutting off. So you're really, it's almost like more faithful to give of something that has life in it. Or also, I mean, it's fatty portions. I mean, it's blubbery, it could keep you warm, you could eat of it, all that wool you could make, but you're just like sacrificing something of really high value versus Cain, who's just like, yeah, I've got all these fruit. And, it doesn't say it was like the fattest fruit, for all like you said, it could just been like dirty, kind of crappy, small fruits, maybe half rotten, you know.
yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, it could have been that Abel brought his best and brightest, and Cain was like, "Yeah,
Here's some
here's some
carrots.
here's some carrots that I grew.
They're baby carrots, but
Yeah, here's the baby carrots. These are the mishaps and misfits of the crop." Yeah, I don't know, man.
it's an odd one because they don't really talk about why God favored it, because he did not regard it Cain's.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Cain just did a better job at raising livestock, or no, Abel did a better job at raising livestock than Cain did at growing crops. Maybe Cain was not as attentive and nurturing to his field
Mm,
as he should have been. I mean,
mm.
there's a lot left to interpretation here. It doesn't give you a whole lot of specifics, so it's like there's so much that's just open here as to how to interpret this, like as to why God like favored Abel in this moment over Cain.
Yeah. And I guess it
Um,
doesn't matter really, because the point is that God favored Abel's. So there was something that Abel did right, and there's something that Cain did wrong. And it doesn't matter really, I guess, why at this point. It doesn't matter. All we know is that God favored Abel's, he didn't favor Cain's. And then, you know, and
yeah,
that's kind of okay, because when you keep going, Cain gets angry, his face fell, and then God says to Cain, so God's still talking to him like, hey, why are you angry? Why is your face falling? If you do well, will you not be accepted? If you
yeah,
don't, so maybe you're right. Like maybe it's because he wasn't giving his all. Like he wasn't, because if
yeah,
you do
and
right, won't you be accepted? Because God's almost saying you didn't do something right, is what he's telling him.
yeah, and this is like also I guess the first time in all of history we see like what is now like a trope like of this sort of family dynamic. Like you see this all the time in media and literature or whatever, like a father and his sons, and the sons or however many kids he has are like vying for his affections
Mm-hmm.
and trying to impress him and doing things for him. And he's like, he has his favorites or he's toying with them or whatever. It's like, it's a literary device that's used a lot for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right. And all it took was the first literally the first two sons ever to already
Yeah.
have like a brotherly beef.
Yeah, for sure.
You
Yeah,
know,
the first two kids ever already just hated each other.
just getting mad. But it's
Yeah.
interesting too. I think that the older brother is the one not accepted. It's the younger brother. You know, and that's always a classic debate. Like, oh, the younger brother has it easier than the first. The first kid always has it harder. You know,
Oh
kind of
yeah.
deal. That's an interesting kind of element here.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I think if you're to like read this from like a literary point of view, it's like this is all very necessary to like move the characters in the plot forward. That the father figure, which is like in this story, God himself is the father. I don't know why Adam is out of the picture in these moments, but God
Hmm.
himself is the father figure.
You know, that's interesting too. Yeah, like that's kind of I didn't even think about that because now Cain and Abel have only known a fallen world. They never saw utopia, right? So it's interesting that they are already that they're so close to God. They're literally talking to God.
Yeah, God is still hanging out with everybody. God is like, you know, we get you get into it later in chapter 6, but right now, God is still like, you know, stroking his beard, like, what is this I've created? What are they up to? How I feel
Mm-hmm.
about them? So he's still like hanging out with them and talking to them and trying to guide them.
Yeah, he's still like pretty actively involved, like it
Yes,
real intimately involved. I mean, he's literally enough to where Cain noticed that his sacrifice wasn't accepted
yes,
or his
yeah,
offering. And not even sacrifice, more of an
yeah.
offering.
Is the respective offerings. So yeah, yeah, I have no idea why he liked Abel's better than Cain's, but you know that's where we get the that friction between them that kicks everything off. So you know, as a literary device, we need that.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well,
then
and we're I think that verse 7 is pretty interesting though. Like,
I
you know,
yeah, I struggled to figure out what that meant. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted, and if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Um,
so mine says sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. And yours is actually personifying sin.
yeah, I thought it was the way mine is written, I thought it was like an allusion to like the devil that
Well,
like
that would make sense.
yeah, I thought it was like saying that the way it is like personifying it, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt
Mm.
rule over him. So like his desire being Satan's.
And that's if you don't do well. And that's actually really interesting. That's actually really interesting, man. Think about that. Like when you don't do good, when you're like, for lack of better words, when you're half-assing it, you know, life a little bit, like
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to skate by and take shortcuts, and like that's really just not a fulfilling way to live your life. And the more you do that, like,
Don't I know it?
you know, yeah, so in a really weird way that is kind of on the evil scale. Like you're kind of like, I want to do things easier my way rather than like, no, like this is do it right. If you do it right, you don't have to redo it, and if you do it right, you don't have to take, it's going to be harder. You get to give your firstborn and your fat offerings, your fat portions. But if you do that, you'll be accepted, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, it does sound like it's saying like if you work hard and stay in school, get good grades, or
Yeah.
in their case, raise up good livestock, and good crops. If you like really give it some elbow grease and by the sweat of your brow,
Mm.
thou wilt be accepted.
You're gonna start
But
talking in King James in
yeah,
regular
thou
life.
doest well, shalt thou not be accepted. Um, and but and then where it says, and if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. So I mean, that's for everybody though. Like everybody is going to come up against like some sort of failure or fall in their life, and there's always going to be this like temptation to you know, deal with that either by taking shortcuts or trying to like weasel or scheme your way out of it.
It's
Or
rather than taking personal responsibility.
yeah, there's all like when you're met with failure, you're met with like the temptation to do a number of things
Yeah.
in order to like face that and
Blame others,
blame others or like
curse others even. Oh, it's well
curse others,
that son of a,
or yeah, or if you failed and you're in any like state of despair, you'll turn to like the material world and the flesh
yeah.
and the physical to act as to seek out some sort of panacea for your woes. So you'll turn
Yeah.
to drugs and alcohol and
Yeah.
sin.
Sin.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah, man, because when I'm like mad, especially right now when I'm not smoking, if something like bothers me, or if I like, yeah, if I do something, especially if I do something selfishly and then it backfires, of course, like most things do when they're selfish, and then like I'm pissed at it, and then I'm like tempted to, yeah, you're tempted to like spiral downward and self-destruct. Like, God, now I want to go, I want to smoke. Now that I'm
yeah,
smoking, I want to go do drugs and I need to steal. I'm tired of working. I want to steal now. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, that's
Interesting.
the story of so many people is like when you're met with failure, it like the good way to approach that, the noble, virtuous path is when you're met with failure is to learn from it and push forward and work harder and harder and
Hmm.
push through the failure and rise up to the occasion and soar higher than you ever would have. But failure is so demoralizing for so many of us, as we see with Cain, that you could lash out in your rage, and when we do it to ourselves, we're all our own Cain and Abel constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Is
Ooh,
I've,
brother. All
I've
right. Well, Pastor Dalton preaching right now. Hold on. Watch that spirit hot.
I've done. I mean, think about it. Like if
You're right.
you get broken up with, or you lose a job, or like
Ooh.
whatever. You're in a tough spot, and the best thing you could do is like if you get fired from a job, the best thing you could do is like cool off and then just go update your resume and get back out there.
Mm.
But so many of us, like, if that happens, it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go out drinking or whatever. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so now I have no income. I'm going to go spend money that's not coming in to go get drunk to do this thing I shouldn't be doing anyway.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. And then there's a possibility of now that you're drinking without a job, you're going to drive home, then you get a DWI.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're in jail.
Yeah, it could go so, like you could completely just destroy your life or like other people's lives if you open the door upon which sin lieth.
Ooh, yeah, it is
Uh,
crouching.
it's
And it wants
crouching,
to,
dude.
but you must rule over it. And I think this
Yeah.
is interesting too, right? Because this is also, there's a lot of Christians when you start getting deep into Christian doctrine, people start coming up with the old like, do we have free will? Or like if God knew that Adam was going to eat of it, why did he make, Adam in the first place? Was it God's will that Adam ate the apple, so to speak,
Sure.
right? But God right here is telling Cain, like, no, this is on you. Like you have to rule over it. So we do have like a choice. Like it's not like we have these predestined choices laid out in front of us that we're going to fulfill. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah, I
fact that
mean,
we
well,
do
it
have this
says,
choice.
that God made us in his image, so I think that would extend to uh a similar ability to choose and create and live like autonomously. So like, who knows, that I've heard that my whole life. Like, what is exactly part of God's divine plan, and does that mean that there really is no free will, that we're all just
Yeah,
operating based on like whatever our programming is given
right.
to us by God or whatever it may be. The funny thing is I've heard like hardcore atheists make that same argument just in the other direction. Like they land back on essentially like faith-based beliefs
Mm.
where they're like, I've heard people say that where they're like, I've studied like neuroscience and I'm starting to believe that maybe free will doesn't exist. And it's like, you just horseshoed back around to God.
Yeah, because you're believing in like this more of a nature aspect element, right, versus like how you nurture yourself as a person, which I agree with that in a sense. Like I agree that we're naturally able to do bad things just as we are good, but it is our decision every day and our nurturing and how we're brought up, how we choose to live. And we must, whether we rule over it or if we open the door to the sin, right? Like, how are we going to do it? And then and I mean, that's a daily choice because every day comes with its bull crap,
The second you wake up, it's temptation, especially these days, the temptation's there. You got Zens, you got vape,
Oh, yeah.
you got your iPhone. I mean, you could be flooded with sin these days before you even set your feet upon the earth
Mm-hmm.
from
Before
your
you get
bed.
that first cup of coffee and yeah, it's
Oh,
all right. I mean, yeah,
which
opening up that phone is just,
certain religions would say the coffee itself is sinful, that the caffeine is,
yeah, it's a drug.
yeah. There was this one of the ladies in my church, or one of the guys in my church, his brother had married a Mormon lady. And so like he had converted or whatever. And I remember like when this guy came around and like was telling us all about Mormonism, he was like, yeah, I can't have Coke or coffee or
Yeah,
tea.
they can't have
They
anything.
can't have anything, dude. And at least with Christianity, the way we have it, nowadays there's some wiggle room, especially if you go to an AA meeting. They're like, load up on donuts and coffee
Yeah.
and
Well, it's like
cigarettes.
they're den full of addicts. There's like, look, we're gonna have coffee. Okay,
We're gonna have
we're
coffee.
I'm not having heroin, so I get something.
Yeah. And
You
we're
know?
gonna chain smoke.
Yeah, we're gonna change.
It's a miracle that we can even sit through this because we're all just bouncing our knees, waiting to go smoke a cigarette.
Hey, look, we could at least read some Bible if we could all just have a cigarette. Like, we could all concentrate, let one burn while reading the good book.
Yeah, dude.
It's
And
it's funny.
thank God they invented Zens and vaping, so you can actually sit through an AA meeting now. You don't
Yeah.
have to pop outside for a cigarette every 10 minutes.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, vapes have done wonders for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And then we go to verse 8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
all right, hold on. Now that's crazy. Because verse 8 is almost so. I wish the very beginning of 8 is very odd. I have a footnote. On Cain spoke to his brother Abel. My footnote says in the Hebrew, Samaritan, Septuagint, Syriac, Vulgate, add, let us go out to the field. So it's almost saying that instead of saying he spoke to his brother, he wasn't just like talking to him about the sacrifice. Because I first take that as like he's going, yo, like what's so great about your sacrifice? But instead it's saying in like the Septuagint and these other versions that he's almost kind of like, hey, Cain, Abel, let's go out into the field together. I got something to show you.
Yeah.
Which is so devious, man.
Yeah. Like a Sopranos character. Like, let's go. Just come with me.
Take a ride. You sit in the front seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal. It's his brother. It just breaks my heart,
Take the donkey bone, leave the firstling and the fat thereof.
Yeah.
Take the donkey's jawbone, leave the
yeah, leave
it. Yeah,
you
know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I get you.
Okay.
you referencing Samson?
No, the Godfather, but instead of a gunning and a cannoli, it's what did he kill him? Because I've heard that. Yeah, that's the thing here is the verse, the details of like the whole murder, the very first murder that ever happens in history. All takes place within verse 8, which is one sentence.
Literally one.
And
It's a one sentence murder.
yeah, and the details are very minimal, very scarce.
Yeah, we don't know how. We don't know if he threw a stone at his head, or if he choked him out, or if he just beat the ever living crap out of him,
Yeah,
gouged his
it's
eyes. We don't know what he did.
yeah. If you were
Speared
reading,
him.
if you were reading this for the first time, that would be very jarring. To be like, wait, what? He killed him?
Yeah,
Like you'd be like, what happened? Like it happened that fast and that sort of like anticlimactic. It's just like very matter of factly described here, just like, and he slew him.
yeah, and he
Anyway,
killed him.
moving on.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is odd. Yeah, just
Yeah.
like pass over the. Wait, what? Like just like that.
Yeah, it's like when you read I think if you read Hamlet, because it can be effective to write out something so dramatic and integral happening in such a fleeting way. Like that can work. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it is like um you
Well, it
know
does compel you to continue reading because you're like, whoa, he just killed him, and then you're like, and now God's already talking to Cain, like, where's your brother?
yeah. But
It is
like
kind of crazy.
yeah, and then like at this point in the story, like these are the main characters, and one of them just died, and there was like nothing that leading up to that. There's no details get like like it's just this very like matter of fact, almost like throwaway line that yeah, oh yeah, he killed him, and that
Yeah.
can like there have been the one I'm thinking of is like if you read Hamlet, there's a moment like that in Hamlet where there's these two like not main characters but like very important secondary characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and they show up throughout the whole story. It's like if Lion King is based on Hamlet, these are like the Timon and Pumbaa of the
Mhm.
story. To put it for people that may not know Hamlet. um and so they are like integral to the story, and that they're sort of like the comic relief, like fun characters that are like trying to help out Hamlet throughout all this. And then there's like a point in the third act, I think, where there's a line that just says Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, and that's it. Like he gives you nothing.
They didn't tell you how they die.
No, it doesn't tell you. There was nothing. There was no build up to this moment. You have
That's even
no,
worse than this.
yeah, you have no idea how they're dead, and it's like such an ambiguous moment that's
Mm,
that was like studied for so long, and like people
interesting.
were always like, why did he write it this way? That I think it was like in the 90s. There's a movie called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. That's uh like a Hamlet movie, but it's about those two characters.
Weird.
Yeah.
Was it like because of time passing or anything weird like that?
No, they were either killed or like I don't think it ever explains like what happened to them in the story. It's just this
Crazy.
like throwaway line where like these characters you've been with throughout this entire story, you've been like part of this story. It's just this one line is like, well, they're gone, they're done, it's over. Their death happened off screen.
Interesting. It's almost like a
Um,
page. It's almost like a page got ripped out.
yeah, maybe.
But because at least in this, like we know why Cain killed him. Like he's jealous because God didn't accept his offering, and sin is crouching at his door. So at least there's at least like background. Like we know why he killed him. It's not like so we just don't know how. Like we don't really. That's about it. We don't know really how. We want
Yeah,
more gritty details, but we know why at
yeah, and
least.
that's what I was referencing earlier. Is I've heard reports or research that he did it with like the jawbone of a donkey or something,
Hmm.
that he like had fashioned like a donkey's jawbone into some sort of like blade, and that's how he killed him. I don't know.
Ugh.
That's what that's from the TV show Supernatural. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Uh,
I got that from the TV show Supernatural, which actually
well,
brings
well,
us to the next verse because this
well,
happens in the show too.
hold on real quick before you get to that. It is interesting because maybe when you go back to verse 5, you know, after God had no regard for Cain's offering, so Cain was very angry and his face fell.
Roth.
Now, during this moment, when Cain's face fell, we don't know what he's doing. Where God's like, "Hey, you better watch it. Sin's crouching."
He's
And maybe
plotting. He's scheming.
he's plotting. Maybe right there. Maybe that's when he's chiseling up a little jawbone, and he's like, "Why's your face like that? What are you doing? Sin's at your door." Because immediately when he's like, "Sin's desire is for you, but you must rule over it," the immediate next verse, he kills his brother. So it's like he's completely ignoring God, which is so how like our conscience works, right? Like your conscience like, don't do this, and you're like ignoring it. You're just like, nope, I'm doing it. I'm shut up.
So do you think God knew what he like? Because if God is all seeing, all knowing, omnipotent, omniscient, so he probably knew that Cain was like plotting to do this. He was I don't think God was just like reading Cain's body language and inferring from that something was off. Like God probably knew exactly where his mind was.
Yeah, because he says he's angry, and that's not, his countenance fell, right. It's not that he's sad. It's not sad fallen. He's freaking livid.
Yeah.
Why didn't
you? Why didn't you like my turnips?
Yeah, why do you like my small baby turnips instead of his fat baby lamb? And God's like, yeah, why are you angry? You do well, do good. Yeah, it's really it's so tragic.
Yeah, it's the first tragedy. It's the first aside from the fall of Adam and Eve, this is a second tragedy, I guess.
Because this is just so much more personal. I mean, not only that, and it's his blood, it's his brother.
Yeah, and Cain, and like in this story of these two characters, Cain is the relatable one.
Yeah,
it's like Cain is the sympathetic, like relatable character here, because it's like all we know of Abel is that he was awesome and God liked him.
Goody two shoes.
Yeah, Cain, like I can relate to Cain, just like coming up short and being mad.
Yeah,
and not learning anything from just digging yourself a deeper hole because you're like upset at someone.
Yeah, I've been working. I'm tilling the ground. Hell, I even gave an offering.
Yeah.
My freaking younger brother, like, who's had everything handed to him. He's always had things easier. I was the firstborn. God's accepting him now. Like, I can't catch a break. I'm pissed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like young Sheldon.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
It's just like how Georgie on Young Sheldon. He's the oldest. He's not a child prodigy. He's not a physics genius. But hey, he works hard.
Yeah,
He's trying his best. And here comes Sheldon, 12 years old. And he's in college already.
Yeah,
Georgie's got to raise up a kid because he got his girlfriend knocked up as a teenager. It's just like
it's just like young Sheldon.
I know these details from TikTok. I've never watched an episode, but I've seen many clips on TikTok of young Sheldon.
Hey, is there a way I can pause this and pee?
You just go pee. I'll just riff. I'll vamp.
Okay.
I'll plug the Patreon.
I'll be fast.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, folks, Jamie is going to relieve his bladder for nature calls in that fashion. While he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and plug the Patreon for the network. Patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. And to clear up any confusion, the podcast network is the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 did fill her up? Which is a subsidiary of Cornfed Industries. Therefore, the Patreon for everything is patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. And that's the same reason the YouTube is youtube.com/@cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. Everything falls under the umbrella of Cornfed Industries. There's many departments, organizations, and companies that exist within that. This is the podcast network, the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 did fill her up. So the Patreon is patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. We got a $5 tier, $10, $15. And those will all get you access to the premium episodes of Corn Fed, the premium episodes of Double D's with DDT and Dalton, all other bonus content that we're putting up there. The $5 tier will get you all that. $10 will get you that, plus a shout out on the show. $15 will get you all that, plus a kiss on the lips. And then the coup de grace is the $25 tier, which will get you the Fraternal Order of Corn-Fed decal after you've been subscribed for 3 months. Jamie's back. Let's continue the show.
Thanks. I was trying to hold it, and I was just like, that ain't gonna happen.
Oh, you're good, man. I just plugged the Patreon.
Good.
Yeah.
Subscribe, fill her up.
Yeah, fill her up. Yeah, maybe we should do Patreon episodes for this show. We should maybe do like what would be the inverse of this?
I mean,
well, we're studying the Bible. If we did like a premium show, like what would be the an anathema to the Bible is like the shadow realm. If the Bible is to be light, then what would be the Shadowverse version of this?
the Quran.
I was thinking something more occult than the Quran.
Like you mean like what about The Shack?
The Shack?
Have you ever read The Shack?
No, what was that?
It's Christian fiction literature.
Oh no, I have no idea what that is. Well, I mean, there's the Apocrypha, which is which is like kind of bonusy stuff. I mean, what we really could do is we could get juicy and we could share like personal testimonies of our personal relationships with God. That would get weird. We could do that. Wait, what is Tobit?
I don't know. I was looking at all the Apocrypha books earlier, and like they're tripping me out. And the whole reason why I wanted to get the Apocrypha because I wanted to read the story of Saint George slaying the dragon, and then I realized that's not even in the Apocrypha. That's like something written in the 80s. This whole time I was thinking that was something in the Apocrypha.
You want to do Beowulf?
Dude, Beowulf sounds rad.
For a bonus show, we could do Beowulf.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Wait, but that'd be a whole other show.
That's for the Patreon.
That's the Patreon one.
Yeah,
because this is free, right?
This is free. So for the Patreon, we study Beowulf.
Yeah, the Beowulf literature.
Dude, I love Beowulf. Honestly, let's read Beowulf. I was
just reading something about Beowulf.
Have you read it
the other day? I haven't. I think I read it actually in maybe high school, but
dog.
No. It's been a long time.
Like along with this, and maybe like some other text, like Sir Gawain or whatever. Beowulf is like the blueprint for just like stories.
Mm-hmm.
Beowulf is
That's
good.
what I hear.
Yeah, let's do Beowulf.
I'm down.
Yeah, go read the first chat, folks. Patreon, we're gonna do Beowulf.
Wait, how long is Beowulf?
It's not as long as this for sure.
Like as long as Genesis or as long as the Bible? Because this is gonna we got a lot to tackle. We may as well just start knocking out 2 of these a week, so we can try to get done within 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the Patreon we'll do we could do a couple chapters of Beowulf every week.
Yeah.
Beowulf is awesome. I love Beowulf.
Well, we could just read Beowulf and then come back and talk about it rather than reading through it.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do a deep dive for the Patreon, folks. We're gonna do a deep dive of Beowulf.
Yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about what you read rather than reading it. Like
sure.
The Genesis and the Bible.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I'm excited for that. I love Beowulf.
I gotta go buy Beowulf now.
Yeah, I wonder if I still have them. I lost it. I had like a Tolkien translation where he like Tolkien himself went through and translated it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, anyway. Folks, stay tuned for that.
So Cain killed Abel.
Then we go into verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? That's one of them classic lines, dude.
That's a big line right there.
Yeah, that's like up there with that. I got a feeling this is going to be a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
Or no, I am your father. Or,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. How many times
say
has that
hello
been
to my
used?
little friend. This is one of
Yes.
those.
Am
Just
I
in
my
our
brother's
DNA.
keeper? It is. That I mean, that's in there. That's in culture, art. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a huge line, and God, and so crappy.
By the way, is this the first lie? Because did Adam and Eve lie to God when they ate the fruit?
No, they admitted it,
Yeah,
but
they copped to it like right away, right?
yeah, because the thing is, but they try to pass the buck.
Right.
They admit it, but they're like, well, it was the serpent. Well, it was the woman, and they gave it to me. Uh, but yeah, this is the first real lie because he does
Yeah.
know where he's at. I mean, he hit him, right? Or
Yeah,
did he
he
hide
said,
him?
I know not am I my brother's keeper. So he's lying and he's giving him some sass.
Yeah.
He's hitting him with some sass right here.
I don't know. Why are you pestering me?
Yeah, am I my brother? I'm like, what am I? Am I his babysitter? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's grown. We're both grown. We're
Grown
both
boy.
12.
Well, I think
Like,
this is an interesting line. This has always been an interesting line to me because I think that this mentality is so much I feel like an American independence. Like we get so lost in being independent that we do like forget that life is truly about community, which you and I know very well.
yeah, we've
You
talked
know,
community and land development.
and land
Uh,
development. Because it's like he's trying to be like, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And I think like it's like the answer is yes. Like you are your brother's keeper. You got to be looking out for each other. You know what I mean? And so it's such a selfish thing to say, especially
yeah,
after he totally did kill him.
yeah.
Like,
But
what?
also, like I said earlier, God knows everything.
Yeah.
So, and this is just like when a parent, knows that you like broke something or whatever it is that you stole or broke or ate dessert before dinner.
Mm-hmm.
They question you. They already know the answer, but they're questioning you to see if you at least have enough honesty and virtue to tell the truth in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like God knows that Cain has done this, but he's like, this is still an opportunity for redemption. Like God is like, yo, what's going on with Abel? Did you kill him?
Mm-hmm.
And Cain's like,
Yeah. No.
no.
No. Why don't you leave me alone?
Yeah, yeah. And he's like shuffling like leaves and stuff around. Like, no, I don't know where he is.
He's throwing his turnips over the ground. Like, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's doing like Weekend at Bernie's. Like, look at him. He's having a good time.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
He's just like kicking like his carrots over Cain's or Abel's feet.
Yeah,
Like,
there's just like a hand sticking out of the ground. He's like kicking dirt on top of it. Like, I don't know where he is, man.
I'm not his keeper.
Yeah.
Oh,
Beats
dude, that
me.
is so funny.
Speaking of beats, I got a new crop for you, God. I know the last offering you weren't too fond of, but what do you hear about beats?
Abel, I'm sure he'll turn up somewhere.
Yeah.
all right. I got my dad joke in.
That's good.
I can't quit eating these turtles that look like poop.
Yeah, you got the Dookie Turtles. And then we go to verse 10, and he said, "What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground." Oh, that's beautiful.
Mm.
That's just some beautiful prose right there. And then we Then we go to 11. "And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. Avenged sevenfold.
Hey. Whoa. I never put that. I never realized that. Wait, is Avenged Sevenfold a secular band?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think the name is referencing this now that
Yeah, it totally is.
the pieces just fit together just now. Vengeance. That's what we learned from the Bible. It's like, oh, avenge seven. I get it now.
I'm gonna go back and listen to their music.
Yeah. However that song goes.
Yeah, I was also trying to remember what songs are even there. That band sucks.
Yeah, man, sucks. Such a cool name for one of the worst bands I've ever heard.
A name is so metal.
Yeah, that name is so cool. Now, especially now.
Yeah,
Dude, I feel like such trash. Like, dude, as I was reading this, this light bulb went off. Like, I got so excited. I was like, oh.
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
So wait, are they calling themselves Cain or God?
I guess they're referencing this, that God is saying, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So if you kill Cain, then Cain will then be avenged sevenfold. So I guess somebody will then kill you 7 times, or
they're going to be killed, and so will like 7 more of their relatives.
Or what is sevenfold? Isn't that like 70?
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
I don't.
That's actually interesting because, yeah, 7.
I can't.
You need to put you need to insert a little bit of Avenged Sevenfold music right here at some point.
Yes.
Or at least maybe the intro music to the episode. That way later on in the episode, people realize why you put Avenged Sevenfold at the beginning.
Sure. Dude, the moment of realization I just had, just gave me whiplash. Like, I feel like I gotta calm down. That hit me so hard.
I mean, yeah, this is pretty. That's pretty crazy, though.
Yep. And the Lord.
Yep.
Dude, that is, we're getting to that point where we're like, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway. Well, so God, this is the second time. God must be getting frustrated because this is the second time he's had to do this. Where he's like, all right, well, I cast your mom and dad out.
Yeah.
Now I gotta cast you out. He's just, and then.
But from where? Because they were already out in a cast out place.
Man, I don't know. Just get the worst, the even worse parts of wherever they are in Africa or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, this is the second time God has had to do this within, 4 chapters. It's like God created the earth in chapters 1 through 3. And then chapter 4, immediately, he's like, all right, guys, well, I worked pretty hard on that. Get out of here. Yeah,
dude, humans not making a good impression.
No. And then we really get into God's frustrations in chapter 6. But here, this is the second time that God is like, all right, well, this is worse than the first. You killed the first time they just ate something I didn't want them to. You just killed your brother. You gotta go. That's unacceptable. Shame on you. Not mad. I'm just disappointed. He hit him with one of those. And
Yeah, finish this little paragraph here.
Go
to 16 through 16.
And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. Then we go to 16. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife. Hey man, he's still getting some play, baby. It ain't all bad for Cain.
Well,
he's knowing ladies.
He's knowing ladies. I mean, yeah, like, look, he's a murderer. I don't know if the wife knows that.
Which, they by the way, bad. This is the first lady who really loved a bad boy.
Loved a bad boy, and which we'll get to this in a second. But where did this wife come from? This is an age-old question right here.
Yeah, where did this lady come from?
Well, who is she?
Yeah, who knows?
There's been Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, the first kids. Who's this broad?
Yeah,
it didn't give her a name.
Does it not name? I guess not.
Just he knew his wife.
Found some lady in the desert and was like, "Well, it's probably as good as this will do. This is as good as it's gonna get."
Well, this is interesting because a lot of people will theorize that maybe God had made others around, right? Maybe they're just mentioning Adam and Eve because those are God's chosen people, right? Maybe the Jews are God's chosen people. Maybe he made some others around, especially in this land of Nod. My footnote on Nod says Nod means wandering. So the land is of wandering.
Isn't that also referenced in a Tom Waits song?
I'm not familiar.
We sail tonight for Singapore. We're all as mad as here. I've fallen for a tawny Moor. Took off to the land of Nod. Drank with all the Chinamen. Walked the sewers of Paris. I danced along a colored wind. Dangled from a rope of sand. You must say goodbye to me.
Wow. I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the first track from is it Rain? Yeah, Rain Dogs. One of his classic albums. But yeah, it's took off to the land of Nod, drank with all the Chinamen.
So is that where Nod is? Is Nod somewhere in Asia?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I only know it from the Tom Waits song and from this. So well, I mean, I think Israel and Palestine are technically in Asia.
Yeah, I mean, and if we're not getting into the 12 tribes of Israel yet, we'll get into that by next fall. But
hey, have a nice trip.
Yeah, I mean, but there's something to be said about the Jews all around the world, Black Israelites, Asian, perhaps Israelites as well. Maybe this is a part of that because it is east of Eden. When you keep going east, you are getting into Asia. So this is possible. But we just went over a lot. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, we gotta finish let's finish this verse okay. At least. And Cain knew his wife. And she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad beget Mehujael, and Mehujael beget Methusael, and Methusael beget Lamech. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives.
Oh, playa. Dang, boy. Hey, slaying, dude. Dude, he knows a lot of ladies.
Dude, that's awesome. Just the third guy that's ever existed is am I allowed to have 2? I have 2?
Yeah, he's getting looks. He's getting a lot of looks.
Yeah, my man know. My man be knowing. He
knows what's up.
Yeah, he was the first. Yeah, he was the first player. He was the first one who was
truly.
Yeah, the first pimp. Lamech, the first pimp.
It really was.
And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of one was Adah, however you pronounce that, and the name of the other was Zillah. That's the real estate site, right?
Yeah,
Zillow,
Zilla,
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 Zilla.
or no? That's the big. That's the big lizard.
Yeah, it's the
That,
big lizard.
that's
Oh,
the,
they totally are in Asia, dude.
yeah,
A
yeah,
Zilla.
yeah, Zilla, yeah, Zilla. Yeah. So the name of the other Zilla and Ada Bear Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such have cattle. And his brother. What does that even? I don't even know what that means. Like, what were they
Well,
living? What were they living in before that?
maybe yeah, maybe these are more like I really am starting to think these really actually are Asians. Because like what if they lived in like those kind of like bamboo tents, like teepees or something?
Yeah, you think? Yeah, the paper walls and
Yeah.
take your shoes off,
Yeah.
maybe. And of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal.
So
And
Jabal and Jubal.
Jabal, yeah, Jabal and Jubal. Uh, he was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. Is that where we get Jubilee? You know, like music and harps and organs and
Jubilee.
celebration.
Man,
Jubilee,
maybe. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a good
Jubal.
that's a good thought. Maybe so. Yeah, Jubilee. I mean, I thought Jubilee just meant well, no, a Jubilee is like
What
kind
is
of
a
a festive term, isn't it?
yeah? What is a Jubilee?
Jew.
JEW.
Jubilee.
What is a jubilee? A special anniversary of an event, especially one celebrating 25 or 50 years of a reign or activity. Um. So yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I could look up the etymology. Late Middle English from Old French jubile from Late Latin jubilus, year of jubilee, based on Hebrew yobel, originally ram's horn trumpet, with which the jubilee year was proclaimed. Um, so I don't think it comes from this guy. No, Jubilee is a ram's horn trumpet. So this is just a guy. This is a guy's name is Jubal.
Ram's horn trumpet. I mean, he does play the lyra and pipe.
Yeah. Oh, yours says lyre and pipe.
Yeah, lyra and pipe.
Mine says harp and organ. Interesting.
I mean, an organ could have been. I don't think it means like a piano organ.
Well, an organ is just a bunch of pipes and stuff.
Yeah, so maybe
Like,
it is
like Blue Man Group.
Mm-hmm. So they probably were like horns. Really, they probably just looked a lot different than like modern day organs. You know,
Yeah.
obviously this is a long time ago.
Oh man, but a church organ really is beautiful. It's like how they make that. You know.
Yeah, organs rule. I was just listening to. I just got a Doors album, the Live at the Bowl in '68.
Be careful, that's Sid and Lyeth at the door.
Dude. Well, brother, I love a good use of organ by the Doors. Man, they know how to utilize an organ.
Yeah, man.
Love them.
Yeah, I like the Doors. I like that movie with Val Kilmer.
Oh, I hated that movie.
I like Val Kilmer.
I like Val Kilmer, but I thought the movie sucked.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I guess I need to revisit it. I remember enjoying it. Or maybe maybe I'm thinking of that scene in Wayne's World too. Who knows? Anyway, and then we go to verse 22. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, and the sister of what?
Mine says he was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron.
Oh, really? Mine.
So this is a very instrumental family.
Yeah, the first musical family, the first like Jackson 5.
Yeah, which all came from the line of Cain.
Yeah.
Well, I guess everybody kind of had to have come from Cain since Abel's no longer.
Yeah, pretty honestly, that's a good point. Is like Cain kills Abel, so it's like, yeah, like everybody that is descended from Cain, at least, is like descended from like, yeah, is like descended from the first murder, the first lie, the first murder.
Yeah, we all descended from a murderous Cain. I mean, even the Lord Jesus.
Yeah. So that is an interesting point that we are all descendant of just a jealous, rageful, petulant murderer.
Yeah. I mean, we got that in our bone. You want to talk about a generational curse?
Yeah,
Jeez.
dude. Yeah, everybody focuses on like the original sin, but it's like, I mean, dude, the second sin, this is worse.
It's no picnic.
Yeah, this made things like way worse because it's like God
Yeah.
cast out Adam and Eve, and it's just like, well, they probably were like, man, it can't get much worse than this.
Yeah.
And then Cain does this, and then Cain is like, man, it got so much worse.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I know we're kind of going quick through this, and I know it's because, but hold on, because it's about to get even more confusing, and I do want to go back to Cain and his
Yeah.
punishment
Well,
because
let's
finish it.
Let's finish it up. Yeah, we only
All
got
right,
a few
all right.
verses left. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. See, this is another, like, this is like a throwaway line. Like, this is stated so matter of fact. It's like,
Yeah.
did you kill a guy? Did you
He
kill
just killed a guy.
You killed two people?
Yeah. Did he kill one or two?
Yeah. It sounds like he killed a guy and then a younger guy. Like, he killed a guy, like, maybe like a father and his son or something.
But it also just seems like he's just talking in a poetic like way, like almost like he's saying the same thing in two different ways. Like I've killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. Like he's getting more specific.
Yeah, I have no. This is another verse that I read this and I'm like, wait, is he saying he killed somebody?
Yeah.
When did this
nowhere.
happen? What happened? And then okay, and here we go again because the verse 24. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold. I mean, it was spelled out right there. I've read this chapter like 4 or 5 times. I seriously did not put it together until we were rereading it, and the words themselves are even spelled out that way. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. Now, God was the one who proclaimed that Cain should be avenged sevenfold. And Lamech is saying that Lamech, he's like, if anybody kills me, it'll actually be worse than if you kill Cain.
Yeah, which is kind of like interesting. Like he's clearly scared. He's like, please, no one kill me.
Yeah, he's completely making this up.
Well, he's like, it's like this family is getting more cowardly.
Yeah,
by the generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like using like soot or doing like the first tattoo to give himself a mark of Cain because God didn't give him one. You know what I mean? Like he's saying like, actually, like what I did is so bad. God is really mad at me right now, and just worse than Cain. If anyone kills me, it'll actually be worse for you than if you were to kill Cain.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's crazy that's how long that they knew about Cain's murder. Because think about this: Cain knew his wife, and they bore Enoch. Right, so it goes Cain to Enoch. Enoch bore Irad, Mahujal, Methuselah to Lamech. So like that's 6 generations from Cain to Lamech.
But this is Genesis, so they're all still alive.
Oh yeah, they're all like 900. That's true. But still, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it is. Yeah, but they don't have to have like text or history to tell them that. They could just ask Cain, like, "Yo, what was up?" 800 years ago. He's like, "Oh yeah, I killed my brother. Now nobody can kill me." Or they'll like, I don't know, like 7 generations will suffer or something. Whatever avenge sevenfold means. And then we go to 25, verse 25. And Adam knew his wife again. Yeah, dude. You know what I'm saying? I guess they got through that dark period, the mourning of their dead son.
Yeah, they had to get another one. Well, it's
Yeah.
good that they stayed man, I didn't even think about this.
That would destroy a lot of marriages.
I was just gonna say that, man. Like this, the first couple on Earth had to deal with losing a son.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
At the hands of their other son. So they lost two sons that day when you think about it.
Well, they did because he was also removed from them. I mean, he was a wanderer, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead and kill it. We got. I feel like we have a lot to talk about. This is crazy.
And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God said, she hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. Yeah, we know, lady. We know. We just read all that.
She's like, yeah, remember that terrible thing that happened? Everybody's like, yeah.
It's like one of the only like 5 things that's ever happened at this point.
In a pretty volatile situation.
Yeah. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Oh, so people are praying now. They're praying.
Well, because God's kind of removed them himself in a way. Well,
and that's, by the way, that's the end of chapter 4.
So that's 4. Whew. Dude. Earth is getting out of hand rapidly.
Yeah, dude. We are off the rails pretty quick.
4 chapters into the Bible, and this is just like a mess, a complete mess.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? You know what this is like, and it was by design on purpose. Have you ever read the actual book Frankenstein?
No.
Dude, it's so good. And I don't know if anyone's ever adapted it the right way, like the way that it is that book is. Because like what's
it written in? What's the original language?
English. It was written in like 1818.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
I always thought it was like in English.
No, it's English. It's English. They might have talked a little bit differently, but no, it's Mary Shelley.
Okay.
So yeah.
Written by Broad.
By Broad, yeah. But that book is kind of like this story to a degree, and that's the way she wrote it, because the really like the full title is Frankenstein. I think it's like Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus, and we touched on Prometheus on this show before, but that story is definitely a lot like this, where like Dr. Frankenstein, spends all this time and effort like putting this experiment together, this like creature he's building. He's trying to like create, and then he brings it to life, and immediately it's a problem. Like immediately he's like, oh man, I do not like this thing at all. This thing is a problem. And that's sort of like what you read here. Like God goes through all this like effort to create everything and create like people, humans, and immediately God is just like, oh my God, these people have such a problem.
This is brutal.
Yeah, they just are not doing what I want them to do.
Yeah, this is quite a lot. I mean, it's I think it's interesting. So we were talking earlier about how even though God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden, right? They're in a fallen world, but God's still pretty involved, right? I mean, he's literally talking to Cain and Abel, right? But when Cain kills Abel, you go back to verse 11. When he curses him from the ground. I don't really know what that means because he's like, curses him from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength, and you shall be a fugitive and wanderer on the earth. And so I don't get what it means by it will, like he just can't, like he just not gonna be able to grow crap anymore.
I think it's like a metaphor. I think it's saying that um and now art thou cursed from the earth. I think he's saying that like no matter how hard you work or like whatever you do in this life, however many crops you grow or cities you develop and wives and children you have, this thing you've done, this evil that you've committed is always going to be a part of you. And you're gonna have to live with this.
We gotta live with that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the things that would have brought you immense joy and fulfillment in this life are going to be ash in your mouth.
Man, I think that's actually perfect. A perfect analysis. You're right. Because like he even says, like when you work the ground, it shall no longer yield to you its strength. So it's like you're right. Even whenever you do get that like a huge crop and a huge yield, it's like as great as that might be, in the back of your mind, you're always gonna just have that guilt of like, well, this is great, but damn, I killed my brother.
Yeah, dude.
That sucks.
You'll just be pulling up the most robust, beautiful turnips, the best harvest that the world has ever known, and then you'll hit that 1,000-yard stare and be like, "Oh man, why'd I do that?
That was terrible. I remember one time when I was giving turnips to God, he didn't accept it. And I got mad and killed Abel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that too, but anyway, going back to my original point of the fact that God was talking to Adam or to Abel and Cain still after the fall, right? He was talking to them plain as day. But Cain says, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me away today, and from your face I shall be hidden. So I think this is like when God starts hiding himself from people.
Yes.
That's what I'm getting from it. Like he's no longer talking kind of directly to them as much anymore. Like now he's a wanderer. He's literally wandering the earth without like a direct communion or conversation with God, which has got to be, at this point, it's the loneliest humans have felt, because they have their direct line of conversation with God is gone.
Yeah, and like you see this in chapter 6, because chapter 5, like after this, 5 is just like just records,
Yeah,
like
lineage.
genealogy, lineage, and then chapter 6 is where we get into Noah, and so it's like, to jump ahead a little bit, it's like at that point, God's not really like talking face to face with anybody, but he does start like sending messages to Noah.
Yeah. Noah's like the first boy that starts like kind of being able to talk to God kind of directly again after all this time. I mean, thousands of years, really, when you think about it. Maybe not thousands, but I mean, pretty close to it. And then we were also wrong because earlier I said we all come from the line of a murderous Cain. Well, it's not true because
there's also Seth.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Seth. So we actually come from Seth. Everybody comes from Seth's line, or at least Jesus does. Jesus doesn't come from Cain's line; he comes from Seth's line.
I don't know like what the split is or where people come from.
Well,
maybe Jews come from Seth.
Well, yeah, which would be Jesus. Jesus did too, but because it talks about it in Matthew when they go over the lineage in Matthew to the genealogy of Jesus, it traces it all the way back through Seth to Adam, not Cain. So Jesus, I wanted to clarify because earlier I said Jesus came from Cain.
Well, no, wait. Hold on though, because I mean we're jumping ahead, but
we're jumping very far.
If like this, there is a split happening here. However, we jump ahead a little bit. When you have Noah and the flood, like after the flood, the only people left are Noah and his family. Noah is a descendant of Cain.
No. Let's
Yeah.
because if you want to jump ahead even further, maybe we should just read 5 real quick since it's just genealogy.
We don't. No, well. I read 5. Noah is the son of Lamech.
No,
And
but that's a different Lamech.
is it a different Lamech?
Yeah, because that's a Lamech that comes from Seth's line, not Cain's.
Wait a second. Oh, that's right. The generations of Adam. Oh wait, you are right. The generations of Adam. Oh my
Yes.
god.
So
It's so
Adam
confusing.
made Seth, and then Seth's. Well, the reason why it's confusing is because Seth's lineage and line have very similar names to that of Cain's. Because instead of Enoch, Cain had Enoch, Seth had Enosh. So their names are all pretty close and similar. Not a lot of difference, which makes sense. Like me and my brother, I'm Jamie. My brother's name's Jesse. So parents have been doing this for obviously thousands of years. Making it confusing for all the family.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So everybody's a descendant of Seth.
Yeah, and then even Enoch. Uh, that's what's weird is there's another Enoch that comes later in Seth's line after Jared. I feel like we should read chapter 5, just and then that way we can do Noah, get into Noah next week.
All right. We'll just tear through chapter 5, and we'll close this out in chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years, and begat Enos. And Seth lived after he begat Enos 807 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years, and begat Canaan. And Enos lived after he begat Canaan 815 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years, and begat Mahalaleel. And Canaan lived after he begat Mahalaleel 840 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 65 years, and begat Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after he begat Jared 830 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begat Enoch. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years, and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. That's what I was talking about earlier. I'm like that. I have no clue what that means.
Yeah, he didn't die.
He didn't die. Yeah, so there's like something more happens.
That's crazy.
That's like not in the actual like Bible.
Yeah, and I got a footnote. On that says Enoch walked with God, and he was not, and that means the Septuagint version says was not found. So it could just been like no one found him. So maybe they just all assumed like they don't know
went out for cigarettes.
He went out for cigarettes and disappeared. Like so, and then so they just all chalked it up to like God just took him. They don't know what happened to him. So they didn't ever found his body. Basically, is the idea,
right? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a book in the Apocrypha somewhere. Like, I don't know if I have it in here, but there's a book of Enoch. So
yeah,
there
is.
No idea.
Well, and then later, again, not to jump ahead, later in the Gospels, Jesus, I think, makes mention of how Enoch was taken up by God, meaning like that he never perhaps died or something weird. But
Yeah. It's not, I don't have it in this book, but I've got it somewhere. There's like a book of Enoch. Anyway, verse 25. And Methuselah lived 187 years and begat Lamech. And Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died.
nice.
And Lamech and Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord hath cursed. And Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years, and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Whew. All right, we did it.
Dude,
that's 10. So 10 generations from Adam all the way to Noah.
That's a lot of knowing. A lot of knowing just happened in that.
A lot of knowing.
A lot of knowing, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I know what you're saying, dude. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So we got through that. Enoch, no one knows what happened to his body. They think God just took him up and didn't die. But he probably, like you said, went out for smokes and he probably fell in a pit somewhere and they never found him. That's what I'm assuming.
I think he just got drunk and fell, and they were like, yeah, God took him.
Or what he could have simply just like abandoned all his responsibilities.
Or what if he
ran away?
Yeah, what if he was just the first accidental death? Like just the first like whoops. And then
What do you mean?
so they like we saw the first murder.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like everybody's dying of like old age. But Enoch, it just says he was not, and God took him. What if he was just the first, like he tripped and fell and hit his head really hard?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, because it says he lived 365 years. Because everybody else is living to like 700, 800, 900.
Yeah,
and then so around 365 years, he just croaks or accidentally dies weird, like you said. Like
he might have just like
died young,
just fell, and they were like, God took him.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of strange. Yeah, he didn't live to be old.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There is a book about him, so there is that. But man, what a couple chapters there. A lot just happened.
A lot did just happen. Oh, and going back to, I didn't mean to say this earlier about being an instrumental family. When you in verse 22 of chapter 4, when Zillah also bore Tubal-Cain, he was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron. I don't think they meant musical instruments. I think he just meant like tools.
Now you say it, they might just mean like axes and
hammers,
hoes and shovels.
Yeah.
Because
the other kid played instruments. This kid made tools.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Which makes sense. Like one's like more of like you need to work and go to college, and the other kid was more like artistic and like, I don't know, I think I might be a theater kid.
That's like one of my childhood friends. His family, he's got two twin brothers. One of them plays bagpipes, and the other's like a blacksmith or something.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the situation. And also, but both those kids came from different wives. Because Cain had two, or no, Lamech had two wives, Ada and Zillah. Ada bore Jabal, who made
who? I don't even remember.
His brother's name was Jubal. Jabal from Ada made instruments, and then Tubal-Cain from Zillah, the other wife. So these kids came from two different ladies. One of them, both came from Lamech, but
Oh yeah, Ada Bear Jabal, who he was the father of tent dwellers and cattle farmers. And then she also had Jubal, who was the father of harpists and organists.
Yeah, so
And
that
then
line from Ada.
Zilla had Tubal Cain, who was a smith.
Yeah, who's a smith, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I
An
just wanted to
artificer.
an artificer. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Artificer, artifacts.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, more utility driven mind, you know,
Yeah.
versus like some guy who's head in the clouds. The other line of kids were dreamers.
Yeah. Yes.
And then yeah, chapter 5 starts weird. It kind of like it resorts back to those like weird back and forth sayings like in chapter 2, like the way he created male and female and then created them in the likeness of he and them.
He, him, and he,
Goes
them.
back to the pronoun thing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got the woke translation. Yeah.
Who knew King James was so woke?
Yeah. King James, the original cuck.
Yeah.
Oh man. That was yeah, well that was the first murder. The first
The second murder.
the second murder. No, knowing ladies. Getting to
Knowing
know
ladies.
Getting to know a lady.
Yeah, you're trying to get to know some ladies, dude.
Dude, I'd love to know a lady.
Poly
The
marriage
first
too.
the first polycule.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they had like purple hair and didn't shave their armpits.
Well, because Lamech's taken 2 wives, so the first poly couple,
Yeah,
poly thruple.
the first throuple. They're doing TikToks about how they're definitely happy with this arrangement.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
exactly.
yeah, dude, this is good stuff.
Um, yeah, this is good stuff, and yeah, that's a weird. Chapter 5 is strange how it's just like straight up genealogy to get into
Yeah,
Noah.
well, I mean, the Bible is also like a document of records.
Yeah,
It's an ancestral document, so just a way to, I guess, like trace some sort of lineage. I don't
well,
know.
the goal behind it is so you can trace Jesus's lineage all the way to Adam. That's the goal of this, because if at some point,
Not this.
what do you mean?
This is the Jew Bible. This is the first book of Moses. There was no Jesus to be.
I know, but
eventually,
eventually it does. Like if it continues to keep the genealogy throughout
right,
the Old
right,
Testament.
sure, but I'm saying like as this was written in this time and being like compiled.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, this wasn't for like the purposes of Christianity or Jesus or any of that. This is like for Jewish people.
Well, it's really for Moses, because Moses is trying to prove to his people, like, hey, like I come from Adam. I come from Abraham.
We all do. Yeah,
we all come from. Yeah, you're right. It is for. I see what you're saying. It's for Jews.
Yeah. It's the first book of Moses. So I mean, there is like context. There's always context. Like, we got to get this guy on the show. Did you see that? You see the clip I sent you? That Dan McClellan guy. He's like that Bible scholar I found on TikTok.
The one you send me.
Yo, I love that dude. Like knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff, dude.
But that was interesting because like we did that episode. What was it, a week or two ago? Right? I like we talked about that. Like, what is the context of this? And like in any church we've ever been to, do the pastors make any effort to explain like what the historical context of these stories? And
very little do they do that.
And then like I found that TikTok that he made where he like talked about that, where he's like the context of these books is like very important. Like you do have to like understand what was going on at the time, who's writing it, what's the historical context around which this is written. and he breaks it all down in, you know, a scholarly way. But that was like really interesting. Like that just popped up on my feed after we did that.
Yeah, you should. I don't know if you can include like a little link on the YouTube comments or something to that guy's video. But yeah, 'cause that was really interesting. I like those. I needed to follow that guy,
Yeah, his name is Dan McClellan.
Dan McClellan. Yeah, he definitely knows his stuff.
Yeah, I love his page. He's constantly on TikTok, like all these different like atheist accounts and people that are trying to like disprove the Bible or you know, talk smack about the Bible. He'll like stitch their video or whatever, and then he'll go in and be like, all right, well, let's break it down. And then he'll go through like the history of like whatever they're referencing and like just eviscerate whatever argument they were trying to make about how, you know what I'm talking about? Like the like really obnoxious atheist type of people
ones who have no grounds. It's just more emotional rejection.
Well, yeah, just the people who make it their like life's at work and effort to hate the Bible and try and disprove it.
Yeah.
You know, and
again, I feel like it's just more. It's purely emotional. I feel like most of those guys. It's like they're just mad at God more than anything, and so they're just like, you know, which you know, I get it. Some people get real pissed at God and
I mean,
church, and so it happens.
It's just as, I mean, what they do is just as dogmatic as like any like really fundamentalist church. You know, that's what annoys me is like I have an open mind. Like I'm not, I don't interpret any of this literally, or like I'm not a fundamentalist, but I think there's a lot of truth.
There's a lot to learn, and I think that's like the important part. Is like if you can read this with an open mind to learn something that you know, there's a reason maybe why this book has influenced the world for thousands of years. Like maybe you should think about that a little more.
And all these people, all these like hardcore atheists like Penn Jillette and all these guys who, which is funny that like a magician's side gig is also like telling everybody God's not real. You know, that's his other job.
This guy is pulling the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah, but they always say the same thing where they're like, I shouldn't need a religion or this book to have any sort of moral compass or derive a sense of morality. And it's like, well, no, but stories and literature and texts and all these sorts of things do provide us with like some way to interpret the world and develop our own like sense of what the world is and sense of morality. So it's like if you're not getting that from this book, you've definitely gotten it from just other things you've consumed.
Exactly. Whether it's the Three Little Pigs, for crying out loud, you know. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So. That's Joan Didion, you know, she has that famous quote, we tell ourselves stories so that we may live.
Amen.
Amen
to that, brother. And avenge sevenfold, dude. Yeah. I can't remember what song that is.
Bat Country.
I need to go listen to it now.
It's really bad. Well, you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that song in particular is of their oeuvre, of their catalog, I think that song is listenable. Like it is kind of a jam where it's one of those songs where it's like you can recognize that it kind of sucks, but it's also like I do like this. I
want to hear it real quick so I can remember.
I can play it real quick. Here, let me
do it. I'm pulling it up. Is it Hail to the Bat Country?
Yeah, I'll play it. Here we go, folks. We'll do a little song reaction to close this one out. Avenge, and then we can't monetize this episode. Avenge Sevenfold, Bat Country. Okay, here we go. Here's the music video, dude.
What is the magnifique taste of
that's an ad. Sorry, that's an ad. So I forgot how corny this music video is because it starts out with some dumb quote.
Oh gosh, was it quoting Genesis 4?
No. Listen to this. He who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man. ... Dr. Johnson. I don't know who Dr. Johnson is.
Dr. Johnson's a queer.
Yeah, I don't know who. Yeah, I don't know who Dr. Johnson is. Unless is that from like a Hunter S. Thompson book or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's all right. I get they're trying to be a little philosophical. I like it.
Sure. Anyway, here's the.
All right. Yeah, I remember this song.
Yo, dude, but
I hate that song.
That song sucks. Yo, this is the most insulting thing about this song that I'm just now realizing. I didn't share my screen. You couldn't see the video. The audience can't see the video. Everybody go back and watch this video, because I just noticed something in the way what he's doing with his vocals in this, and just the way he looks, the way he styled himself. This guy is absolutely trying to rip off Mike Patton. Like Mike Patton, the lead singer of Faith No More and Mr. Bungle, and those guys. Like I'm guessing based on what I just heard and what I'm.
You're a big Mr. Bungle fan.
I love Mr. Bungle, dude. You want to listen to some Mr. Bungle real quick?
You sure?
You want to listen to Mr. Bungle? Yeah,
show me some Bungle.
But that, like, what I'm picking up from that song, like, based on just what he's trying to do with his voice, and especially the way he looks, the way he's, like, styled his hair and everything in the video, he is absolutely just trying to rip off Mike Patton in that song, is what I'm guessing. But I don't know. But we could listen to a little Mr. Bungle real quick to confirm. Let's see. Let's try out Carousel.
Didn't you see these guys in concert?
Yeah, I saw them a couple of years ago.
Dude, you know what they remind me of?
What?
These guys, they remind me of like almost like a ska version of Primus.
Yes.
Like a ska Primus blend or Coheed Cambria ska Primus.
Yeah. That's a good interpretation.
It's interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot that's from their first album. There's a lot of like stuff going on in that album. They throw a lot of different genres and influences in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ska, a lot of thrash metal going throughout that album. You should listen to it.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it another shot. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but I will tell you this. It's already sevenfold better than Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, it's the three Mr. Bungle albums are kind of, this one is kind of inaccessible. The second record, Disco Volante, is like completely That I don't know how anyone is gonna like be able to just put that on and listen to it casually.
You got to get like a vinyl maybe, or like a hard
No,
copy.
it's just a really inaccessible album. It's just a crazy record. I've listened to it, but it like as I'm listening to it, I'm like, I've always thought like, who is this for?
Oh, I see what you
It's
mean.
just yeah. And then their third album, California, is probably the closest thing they have to like a commercial album.
Hmm.
Like that's probably the easiest one to listen to. And they put out a record a couple of years ago. They got back together and did like a thrash metal album that's really good.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's what I saw them perform because that's how they started. They were because I think they were from the same town as Metallica or something like that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so like as all that thrash stuff was starting to like pop off, it was just three high school buddies doing like thrash it, like recording like cassettes of like thrash demos.
Yeah.
So they did one called The Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny. And so when they got back together, they like did a full studio recording of that. It's really good.
Wow. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was saying earlier is whoever the lead singer of Avenged Sevenfold is, it sounded to me like he was trying to rip off Mike Patton.
Maybe. I mean, everything, music is so influential to others' music, I mean, it could very well be like either intentionally or unintentionally, probably.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? I mean, but also the way he looks in the video is like, well, this is the kind of the way Mike Patton styles himself as well. But who knows? It's a bad song.
Yeah, it's a bad.
It's almost it might be worse than the first murder.
In conclusion, Avenged Sevenfold sucks.
Yeah, Cain killed Abel, and Avenged Sevenfold killed music.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to say. That's why they named their Avenged Sevenfold. They're like, look, if anybody wants to kill us because of how bad our music is, just remember, if you kill us, you will be avenged sevenfold.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, they're not relevant now. I mean, I remember when I was in like middle school or high school and that came out. It was kind of popular.
Yeah.
And it because they had cool T-shirts. I'll give them that. The T-shirts look cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you the things. I don't even remember the music. I just kind of remember like their logo.
Yeah, there's so many T-shirt bands where it's like, that's a cool T-shirt. I will never listen to that band.
yeah, exactly.
Great shirt.
Great shirt.
You guys should have gotten into textiles instead of music.
Yeah, you should have been a comedian and sold some merch.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was Genesis chapters 4 and 5.
Yes, we got some. Yeah, we made some headway there for sure.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug before we pray?
I'm the bassist for Coldplay 2. We just got to perform over the weekend with Harlan Williams. Dude, it was awesome.
I saw that. That was cool, man.
Harlan Williams got to see the majesty that is Coldplay 2. And you know who was with me the whole time? Saint Homo Bonus was there in spirit. Or Homobenus. And I tell you what, I had a little bonus of homo after the show was over because I was gay with delight.
Thank you.
Check out. Yeah, you're welcome. Check out Coldplay 2 Band on Instagram. That's the handle, Coldplay 2 Band.
Yeah, right. Check out Coldplay 2, and then for me, just keep following this and the channel, the network, the Billionaire Podcast Network. Ka-ching, bing, 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 dee, fill her up. The Patreon. I've already plugged that, but Patreon.com.
Follow the Patreon, guys. Get on this.
Get on the Patreon. Patreon.com/cornfed with Dalton Pruitt. And now let's pray. Everybody bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, for it was not promised to us. A most blessed day, most blessed evening. Thank you for bringing Pastor Jamie and myself together to study your word, for it is the word that was made flesh. The word of God is God. God is love, and we feel your love moving through all of us. We know that though we may not see nor hear you, we know you are with us and all around us. And we just thank you for all the blessings that you have showered upon us and continue to shower upon us. And we know that even in our darkest, most despairing of times, that you are there with us. The hope, the light at the end of the tunnel, the spirit and power that is you, Lord, the Lord God, is always there, ready to lend a hand should we accept, and we do accept the healing hand of you, the Lord God, and it is in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good word, Brother Dalton.
Yes, good word. And until next week, blessed be.
Bless.
I have a friend divine walking with me, making my pathway shine, mighty is he. Jesus, the one I love, gladly I sing. Praises to him above, he is my King. He's my King and reigns forevermore. I love him, he's my King to worship and adore. Oh, I dearly love him, there is none above him. Wonderful is he, this mighty King of glory. He's my King, let all the world proclaim it loudly. He's my King of royal holy fame. When I get to glory, I will sing the story of his love for me. I have a Savior dear talking with me. He is so very near, seems I can see. Over life's rugged way, to him I cling. He is my guide and stay, Jesus my King. He's my King and reigns forevermore. I love him, he's my King to worship and adore. Oh, I dearly love him, there is none above him. Wonderful is he, this mighty King of glory. He's my King, let all the world proclaim it loudly. He's my King of royal holy fame. When I get to glory, I will sing the story of his love for me. I have the Holy Ghost living in me. He is my royal host, faithful is he, filling me with his love so I may sing. Praises to Christ above, he is my King. He's my King and reigns forevermore. I love him, he's my King to worship and adore. Oh, I dearly love him, there is none above him. Wonderful is he, this mighty King of glory. He's my King, let all the world proclaim it loudly. He's my King of royal holy fame. When I get to glory, I will sing the story of his love for me.